protection and to police.
He's in the Northern Ireland Constabulary.
Good.
And okay, well, so I guess we can get started here. It's 6:33. So I'll call the meeting to order. Anyone have any announcements for the good of the community? Any shout-outs?
I just wanted to remind everyone that Solo Seaville is happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Ixart Park. So I encourage everyone to come down. I think it's going to be a blowout festival, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to be there, so we may be there individually at least. So we're going to talk about that later on in the.
Okay.
Yep. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to have Ms. Baltazar talk to us about the Women's Initiative, and do that right after the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
I will second it.
All in favor? Well, in favor?
Aye.
Reverend, are you in favor? Yes? Okay, and so we shall do that. We've also transmitted the minutes to you, to the board members. Has anyone got any comments or amendments they would like to make to the minutes of the last meeting? Want to move to approve?
So moved.
Second it.
Second it? Favor? Yes? And the chair votes aye, and so that's unanimous. Okay, and now, so that means that it's time for Ms. Alarcon, Baltazar. Yes, please.
Well, I do have a presentation, so I don't know if they can show it. Hello, everyone. I'm Cassandra Baltazar Alarcon. I'm a bilingual mental health therapist, as well as the Outreach and Education Coordinator from the Women's Initiative. Thank you so much for the invitation today. Today, I'm just going to give an overview of our services. Yeah. Does this work? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So we are a nonprofit located here in Charlottesville. We have two locations. One is on East High Street, and then the other is at the Jefferson City School. We were founded in 2008 to provide mental health services to women regardless of ability to pay. So we serve women over the age of 18, as well as part of the FEM community, so anyone who identifies as feminine in our community. If you can go to the next slide, please. Totally fine. If not, I can just go off the thing.
I think
Yeah.
he's good.
Hold on, sorry. I don't usually do everything at once.
There you go.
Thank you. So this is kind of our overview. So usually we approximately serve 1 in 5 women that have mental health issues every year, but only 50% will receive care. This is just an overview of just our community need for mental health services. And while everyone goes through difficulties in life, we know that women in the gender expansive community have less access to mental health services, which is why our services are so important. So we have 2 programs, if we can go to the next slide. I think going at the bottom where it says 3 out of 10.
I just clicked it and it's
Now you got 2. There you go.
There we go. Well, so this is the majority of who we serve. The majority of who we serve are people who are underinsured or do not have health insurance. So usually when we do an intake, we usually do the financial screening to make sure that they have the ability to access our services. If they do not have health insurance and they're not able to refer them to other services, we will be able to serve them. Our walk-in clinics are from Monday through Thursday at different areas and different times. We can check out our website at www.womensinitiative.org, and there they can tell you the access of the times that you can go to, as well as when they can come and call. They don't have to have an appointment beforehand in order to access our services or talk to a therapist. So part of who we serve, or 47% of the community we serve, are people of color. So Black women in the community, Latinas in the community. So we have 2 programs. One is the Sister Circle that specifically serves African American women in the community and Black women in the community. And then we have the Bienestar program that serves the Latino community. Our groups change every quarter. So every 3 months we change our groups that go anything from yoga to art to different mindfulness activities to help with the community with mental health. If we can go to the next slide, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah.
There you
You can go to the next slide if you want. Yeah, so this is a little bit about our Sister Circle program. This meets the unique needs of the African American women in our community. We have different therapists who identify as Black clinicians, so we know there's a huge need for mental health services for the Black community, and we try to provide culturally responsive mental health counseling and support groups that are specifically for the Black women in the community. And someone can access by asking if they can attend any of our Sister Circle programs. Some of them are also neighborhood-based. So we go to different neighborhoods in the community. We have City of Promise that we collaborations with. We also have collaborations with the She Shelter, and really try to spotlight different community members and have collaborations with them. You can also access our services and ask for outreach and education. So coming to events such as this and bring information about our services to you all so you can share with the community. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you. And this is a spotlight for our Bienestar program. I'm one of the bilingual mental health therapists there that speak English and Spanish. All of our therapists in the Bienestar program speak English and Spanish. We have a few in the core program that also speak a little bit of Spanish as well. So we try to collaborate with different organizations in the community like Sin Barreras, the UVA Latino Health Initiative, and we provide groups and psychoeducation for those in the community. We also do neighborhood-based education, such as out Southwood, where there's a large Latinx community, as well as different outreach events such as these, but also that are more oriented to the Latin community, as we know that that's a community that's growing in Charlottesville. If you can go to the next slide, please. So we try to have a resilience model of care. These are kind of our tenets, if you will, of all of our groups. So that includes mind-body and arts and connection groups. So these are kind of the things we try to aim in all of our groups. emotional awareness, so understanding and responding compassionately to your emotions, connections and relationships, so just being in a group allows you to connect with other women and practice self-care. It also allows you to have self-exploration and joy, and physical wellness, like our yoga groups, or even we had swimming lessons at one point with YMCA. Physical wellness, self-efficacy, so trying to have belief in your own ability or your own capacity, and then cultivating meaning in life. So these are some of the things we really try to honor at the Women's Initiative. Next slide, please. These are one of our groups that we're having. It's called Challenge into Change. Because of COVID, we had to put a halt to it, but we're bringing it back. So we are asking the community to share stories of those who have turned something in their challenge of their life into something that they've changed. We have different groups that right now, that like Writing into Healing or Escribir para Sanar in Spanish, that are happening, that allow you to practice poetry or writing your own stories. And what we do is we take those stories and then we publish them. So they get a copy of their own book, and I think it's really empowering. Hopefully on October 18th at PVCC, we'll have a reading of those stories. So we ask the community to submit their stories, or if you know someone that can submit their stories, to have them be published. Yeah. If you can go to the next slide, please. So these are a few quotes that we've gotten from clients who have gotten therapy from the Women's Initiative, and I thought I would just share some. The one on the right says, "The Women's Initiative is a magical healing space on every level. I hope everyone seeking compassionate care and community can discover all you offer so affordably and accessibly." The second one on the left says, "I have gotten therapy and attended in-person groups with TWI over many years and always highly recommend you to others. I'm still in therapy for trauma. It's a difficult journey, but I have found love, self-acceptance, and healing." Next slide, please. And this is it. So I just wanted to thank you all for the space. We're here on East High Street, as well as the Jefferson City School. You can call to access our services by calling our line. We have a Bannister line every Wednesday from 2 to 4. And we also have the main line number that you can access from Monday through Thursday at different times. You can check out our website at www.thewomensinitiative.org to access those times and those locations. So thank you so much for inviting me. Any questions?
Question, yeah.
Yeah.
Your funding source, how do you fund it?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit. We get different funding from different organizations. We also get community donations as well. Much of our sourcing comes from different events that we have, we had the Girls' Day Out that happened a few months ago. So it's from different sources.
But you don't have beds, right? This is just inpatient, outpatient.
It's just outpatient, yes. So we offer free individual counseling and group counseling. So we have a brief model of care. So we offer 12 sessions and 3 months on, 3 months off. And while they have the three months a break, they can access wellness consults. So usually it's like one time a month that they can access a therapy, just because of the huge need in our community.
Are there organizations that you work with that do offer overnight?
I think we have a long list of referral sources, but they're not like concrete like partnerships that we have for inpatient. Yeah.
I presume that some of your clients have had bad interactions with law enforcement at some point in the past. Would you care to comment on that at all? Is that a big thing?
I think, speaking as a Latina myself, I think there's a lot of tension between immigration, law enforcement in general. So I think there's a lot of work in orienting and building community and safety. And so I think for that side of things, we try to do a lot of work with trauma, what that means to the client. Every client comes with their own story and their own trauma and their own resilience as well. So it really depends on the client's story that we really try to work with. I think in the Black community, it's also very prevalent. I don't work as much with the Black community, but it is something that the Sister Circle program works with a lot, is how to work with police brutality in our community and trauma that comes with law enforcement. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well,
Yes.
thank you very much for
Thanks.
coming.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate
so much. I appreciate the space.
All right. So now we have our public comment, first public comment session. Is there anybody here who would like to make a comment at this point? Yes, no? Anybody who wants to?
Comment?
Oh,
It's time.
it's time. This may be, I'm sorry, comment about all of this stuff. So I may be out of date by a few hours for me. So Susan Perry here, hi. I heard about, Ms. Gonzalez sent out the email about the different events that are coming up, and I thought that was great. And so I wrote them in my calendar. I can't come this Saturday, but the other ones I'm going to try to make it. And then I was under the impression that you guys weren't going to be there. I know only two of you, you can't hang out too many together, I know that. But,
Actually, we have a letter from our council that says we can come to these events.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
Because you're not meeting, we're meeting,
Yeah,
you're meeting the
exactly. So
community.
we got a letter.
All right, so I am assuming, because I will be at the others, that there will be people from the PCOB, because it's really important for the community to know. Okay, so that's all I want. I'm going to be watching.
Okay.
And have fun on Saturday.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who would like to comment?
We have two attendees. If you'd like to speak at this time, press the raise hand icon, or if you're joining us via telephone, which I don't think anyone is, press *9.
And Mr. Fleming has joined us. That is excellent.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, we just saw that you had come in remotely, and we are welcoming you. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir, and thanks to everyone there. I'm sorry I'm coming in a little late, but I had trouble connecting. Thank you.
Okay. Good that you can make it. Okay, so the next item, are there any other comments from the audience here, or?
Okay.
Okay.
No hands raised at this time.
Okay, so the next item we have here is the Executive Director's Report.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm happy to report that the year-to-date external complaints involving the CPD still remain at 15, knock wood. So that would be 0 complaints for June, 0 complaints for July. As far as our year-to-date complaints, we had 1 additional that came into us in the end of July, and that is a pending investigation. We still have the 1 review request that's pending. Everything was done on our part. We sent out the correspondence to the attorney representing the complainant. She responded to me both via email as well as telephone call, indicated that she'd be back in the country in 2 weeks. I have not yet heard from her. It is what it is.
Okay.
As far as community outreach, as some of you well know, we have participated in 3 of the festivals that took place in the city of Charlottesville, where we got to distribute all of our swag with all of our contact information. We participated in the 32nd Annual African Cultural Arts Festival, Chihamba. We did National Night Out, which was really, really good. Both of those festivals were extraordinary. And also very successful was West Haven Day that occurred last weekend on Saturday, so that was actually really good. And they cleaned us out of all our swag, so that was great. We still have enough swag for upcoming events, though, but we did really well with that. And we got positive feedback concerning the types of items that we were distributing. So I had wanted to touch very quickly on questions from the previous meeting. Ms. Fraley brought to our attention something about the 2022 annual report, which I was able to secure a copy from the Chief of Police. He sent it to me electronically. Just as an FYI, the police department's website is in fact under construction, so there's going to be a lot of information that's not going to be accessible. but I do have a copy of that I'll be sending to Ms. Fraley via email. Ms. Perry asked the question about how the police department tracks its police-citizen encounters. And what happens is we have a Fourth Amendment auditor that works for the police department that will review all of the body-worn camera footage for police-citizen encounters and then report back those findings of whatever it is he observed to the chief of police. In addition to that, there was another question by Chair Mendez as well as Mr. Fogel via email to me concerning statistics that are no longer being posted on the website. The reason for that is because of the Community Policing Act, which now requires police departments to provide specific types of data concerning those encounters, which is actually posted on the state police website, and I actually can provide the link to the Community Policing Act website. It's the Virginia Open Data Portal, so that's where that information is going. So it is available, it's just there. So the other information that some of us were seeing on the police department's website, because it was redundant, the chief saw fit to condense a lot of that information. So that which is being reported by law, legal requirement to the state, can be found on the state website. Everything else can be found eventually when the website for the police department is complete. So they're working on that. And that's pretty much all I have.
They have an ETA on that, Ms. Gonzalez?
I asked, I don't think, there's only, I think, one individual that's actually working on it right now, and again, there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's time consuming, and there's other things that are going on to take, so I don't have an answer for you.
Is that their in-house IT person?
I believe so.
Okay.
Mhm. I don't know if you want to touch on the upcoming events or leave that for,
Well, you can leave that for a little bit later, but I know you and I and Jeff, we talked about case management software and your strong preference for IA Pro. Yeah, I think that would be
I don't know if it's fair to say
fair
that's a strong preference for IA Pro. It's an issue of having the type of software necessary to do the job that we need done. And I don't necessarily know that I know for a fact that our software program does not do what we needed to do at this point. And I provided you with a quote for what it would cost just to make the one change that would be necessary, which was the capability of editing notes that are entered into the software, into the system. The ability to print, for example, is not included in that quote. So I may be able to edit the information that's there, I still can't print it. And so the estimate, and I don't know if you want to share that information.
I don't see, it's not confidential.
No, it isn't. It'll cost $38,000 for us to just be able to edit.
You talking about civil?
Correct. Correct. So, yeah.
Well, we paid $0 to start with.
Well, no, right, and I understand.
So.
That's to edit our own software, the existing
Well, to edit
software.
notes. So to give you an idea, the case management software that we have has a section where you can add attachments. There has a section where you could add notes. Now, from an investigative perspective, if I'm taking notes on something, and if I'm entering those notes into that database, say, for example, I want to be able to print those notes. I also want to be able to edit those notes.
Sure.
If information changes, as you well know, sometimes it does. I can't do that right now. I don't have the ability to edit. So if there's a typographical error, if there's an issue with just the data that's wrong, and I want to be able to update it or correct it, I can't do that at this stage. And if I want to be able to do that sooner rather than later, it will cost us $38,000 just for that one fix. So I'll be able to edit for that amount of money, but I won't be able to print the notes. So it doesn't make, right, correct. So it doesn't make any sense to,
Yeah.
at
So
this
what is the
point.
cost of the one that you want?
Right now, we got a quote for $7,000 for the software with $3,000 annual,
That
which
makes no
includes
sense
the,
at all.
upgrades, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But there is also another player, which is what the police department uses, which is Axon. I don't know what Axon's capabilities are. I will get together with the chief and the commander of professional standards.
You've looked at?
IA Pro.
Yeah, that's the Chevrolet. I mean, everybody uses it. Hundreds of police
So it
departments.
costs $38,000 to edit our own software, but it's $7,000 to get brand new
To
software.
know.
Yeah, and one of the things that we should consider is that as Inez, with my feeble help, attempts to develop an investigation manual, that all depends on what our software can do.
To a degree.
I mean, because, you know, the reports that we can print out
Well-
and how we can organize files.
Well, yes and no. I mean, well, correct, exactly. So it has a lot to do with storage. So for example, right now, I can do an investigation. There's nothing precluding me from doing an investigation. I can do a Word document and enter all my information there. And then eventually, as that investigation is complete, I can attach it to the investigation, to the software management system. I can do that. But my argument is, I'd like to be able to have reports that are already in the system itself, or to be able to attach, let's say, a Word doc in there one time and then continue working within that doc in the software without having to go back and forth and update and that kind of thing.
And presumably, this software will allow you to track certain statistics too, right? Over time, you'll be able to.
For an additional sum of money.
But IA Pro will on this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
IA Pro, yes.
Yes, it will. That's,
Because I think that's important.
There's not a
Over
whole lot that
time,
IA
you'll
Pro
be
can't
able
do,
to
but
see
they've been
what-
around for a very long time. So, and again, I'm biased, all right? I will put that out there in the beginning, you know, right off the bat, is I am biased because it's what I'm accustomed to using. There are different versions of IA Pro to accommodate us, and that's what I asked to be quoted for. So in other words, we don't need what the police department would need, for example. That's a whole other,
I'd be curious what some other civilian review boards across the country. are
well,
using.
IA Pro is the standard.
It is the standard.
Yeah, and I think right now the situation is that there is sort of a race to fill the market niche for oversight organizations. So you have companies like Civil that are trying to groom their products specifically for oversight organizations rather than internal affairs. There's at least one other company that's doing it. And you pay a premium for the new products. That's just a fact of life. Once a product has been developed and used and refined for 30 years, like IA Pro, there's no cost to distributing it. And so it's a lot, tends to be a lot less expensive than other de novo software. But
And are we in a financial position where we can afford to?
Well, we're in beta still with.
well, Civil is for free.
So
We
we're
got
not,
the program for free.
we were a beta site for them for test sites, so we're
Right.
not paying for it. But to move it into a place where it has the bells and whistles that Inez needs is a big hit to Bill's point.
yeah,
So the recommend, I mean, my bias is we should ditch it because of the cost and move it into another.
So also, in
another
fairness to
platform.
Civil, I do have to
Into
tell
IA
you.
Pro is what you're recommending.
Now, Civil will eventually be able to have the functionality that I'm asking for. So it's apparently in their queue. So I could either pay for it in
But
advance.
then it'll ultimately charge us, right?
No,
At some
no,
point
so
it'll
if we
charge us.
wait for it to happen for everyone, then we don't have to pay for it. I just have to wait for it. If I want the program to be able to do what I need it to do now, I have to pay for it. And so again, and that's just the one thing.
$7,000 up front, and then there's an annual fee after?
3,000, because that involves
3,000
storage,
annual.
upgrades,
3,000 a month.
A year.
a year.
And that's
annually.
pretty standard, you know,
That
when you
is.
have to pay it, like, you know, with, if you
Yeah, you get
get
the-
It
Microsoft.
also includes the training.
We
So-
need you to be able to do, we need her to be able to do her job
Yeah,
effectively.
really, that's,
so,
that's-
yeah, so the bottom line is that.
I mean, I can still do it. I'm not gonna stand here and tell you that I can't do it.
Understand.
It's, and you know better than anybody in terms of records management and that kind of thing when it comes to
I do.
investigations. You're gonna wanna be able to store it and you want the hard copies, but you also wanna be able to store it in the system, and you wanna be able to print it when you need it.
I also think tracking of statistics over time is an important.
And you want to be able to
Very
access
important.
data, Susan, you know, just be able to push a button and get, you know, whatever data download in whatever form you need it. You know, stops, arrest, race, you know, whatever. You know, we want the software that'll give us a range of options in terms of, you know, pulling data out of it.
And the police department's version, which has all the bells and whistles, can do all of that you're
Of IA
asking for.
Pro.
Right, because
Oh,
again,
yeah.
there are different iterations of it, depending upon the need of each agency, the size of each agency. So based on our needs, that's what we were quoted for what it is I need to do.
And I
I'm
should,
not one to want to spend money foolishly, but this doesn't sound like it's a foolish expenditure. It
It's a
sounds like
necessary
something that's
expenditure.
necessary.
In order to kind of make it fair to everybody, I mean, I would suggest, and it's up to the board to decide what it is you want to do, but I would look at 2 other software programs. I'm not sure where Axon is with what, you know, again, I believe that's the CPD's choice for performance management software, see where they are, compare it to IA Pro, and then maybe get one other company and look at what every company is offering. Because again, my opinion is legitimate, so.
Ms.
Well, I mean, it's always
Gonzalez,
a good idea to get 2 or 3 options and see.
Yes.
is it important that what we use can talk to what CPD uses? I mean, I'm concerned that iPro can't talk to Axon and vice versa, and then we're really really better off. I mean,
And
if
then that's
those
a whole
two-
other
if the
conversation.
seamless, anyway, you don't
Well,
want to say.
there's an entirely different conversation, because there is another approach, and again, I don't know that CPD would go with it, because again, I believe that they are,
They're pretty wedded to Axon.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that that's where they're going. But even, let's say hypothetically, if we were to convince them to go to IA Pro, we wouldn't need to get a separate software system for myself, say, for example. We wouldn't have to do the added expenditure. What they could do is, because, like any other software program, administrators, so they can control what access I do and do not have. As opposed to getting 2 systems, we could just get the one that I also have access to, but limited.
And theoretically, they could do that with Axon if it meets your needs, is give you
Yeah.
access.
If I knew what Axon did, I could answer that question, but I
Yeah,
don't know what they
but,
can
you
do.
know,
I know
well-
that they're in beta as well, so I don't know.
Yes, exactly,
Right.
and so the question is, as being in beta, we haven't paid anything and we're getting, likely to get what we pay for.
You get what you pay for.
And the first charge after beta is liable to be closer to civil than to
I think it makes sense to look into what this Axiom, is that what you said?
Axon.
Axon.
Axon does, because if it can do what you need it to do, and you're using the same system the police department's using, that to me creates.
And the question
makes a lot
still
of
is
sense.
we'd have to have that conversation with the chief in terms of how much access would I be granted?
And he's gonna listen to.
If
his-
I would be granted at all, there's no, again, we have to have that conversation.
He's gonna listen to his IT people, obviously, if he's not a software guy.
No, but I meant, in other words, would he want to share the
Oh, I see.
information?
I'm sorry.
And does Axon have the capability of, for example, allowing someone from outside of the agency, police department, say, for example, have specific types of access to, again, because they're in beta and because I've never used them, I have no idea what it can and cannot do.
Can I say one thing? What do you want to do?
That's not fair, because again, like I said, I've used it for a very long time, so I know what IA Pro's capabilities are. I don't necessarily know, and again, the version that I had in the agency I came from was very sophisticated. We don't need that for our purposes for the PCOB. It doesn't have to be as sophisticated as that. For example, that system was able to spit out, for example, and you would enter how you wanted the data to come out. So if you wanted to get a printout every month of a police officer, like how many officers got X number of complaints within a specified period of time, it would generate a report for you automatically. You could enter use of force complaints in there and get data as far as use of force. You could enter the motor vehicle pursuits and get data concerning pursuits. So anything and everything that we captured in the agency I was in could be put into IA Pro, and we can get data from that. And that's what we would use for our internal affairs ComStats.
But you don't feel we need that data because we just don't have enough?
We don't need what I had where I came from, but they do have a version for, in other words, they're able, because they've been doing it since 1992, they can tailor IA Pro to the size of the agency. And they also have something specifically for our needs. And so that's what it is I was asking for and what I asked to be quoted for. So there is a demo that they sent me. I would love for us to sit down, I guess, 2 at a time, to look at it, to see what it is capable of, and then make a decision somewhere down the line when we looked at everything else.
I haven't.
And maybe that's something we can incorporate into the 2025 budget.
Okay. And just a sort of as a bottom line consideration, we've been developed a expenditure projection spreadsheet, so we actually can keep track of our own budget. And $7,000 is not going to break us. $7,000
It's not going to
break
Break
us.
us.
No, it won't
We are in reasonably good shape fiscally. So,
That has a lot to do with the fact that you've only got one employee right now.
right, but if we, even if we were to get an administrative assistant to get off the line of the discussion, even if we had an administrative assistant, say, starting in October or November, we could still afford IA Pro, and we would still not be anywhere near the top of our budget. That's sort of the bottom line.
Yeah, as long as I'm not
So,
making any frivolous expenditures, we should be fine.
No. So, Yeah, so, yeah, I'll definitely get with you. I want to see that demo of,
I would be curious to see it too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
and I will, do you have a contact at Axon or?
I do not.
Okay.
I actually reached out to Axon for an unrelated thing, which was the interview room setup, and that was,
So that's
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
it was the issue of getting a call back. Once it finally did come, we were supposed to get a call back from an engineer that was going to ask for the dimensions of the room and that kind of information so they could set it up. That never happened, so I just gave up on Axon as far as that's concerned. So
Well-
we got a quote from a different company for that purpose. Significantly less anyway. so.
I just feel in my heart that you need that. I really do. I mean, it's, y'all laugh about it, but I.
No, I'm
No.
with you. I am with you.
Yeah, in my heart, I
Well,
feel that you need that.
And,
especially with that
yeah,
work.
and also all my experience with software is that long-established products are much more satisfactory.
And a lot less buggy.
You have to go through a real long break-in period with new software, and whereas IA Pro has been around 30 years, you're going to install it and it's going to work.
The interesting thing, again, also about IA Pro, and I only speak about IA Pro because it's one of my experiences, and is that you can tailor it to what your specific needs are. And as we grow, or as investigations come in, or as we start tracking more data, get more complaints and things like that, you're going to want a system that can do all of that, that can print all of that, that can store the information.
Trust me, you do.
So whether it's IA Pro or some other program that does that is what we need. Eventually, as this thing gets bigger and bigger, we're going to have to be able to track it some kind of way.
Okay.
I agree. I'm telling you.
Good.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There are no more questions. I want to take just a couple of minutes to talk about preparations for holding a hearing, holding hearings. And things, again, just are moving, but the finish line keeps moving also. We now have 4 individuals who have expressed interest in being involved as hearing examiners for the board. Based on their resumes, they're all experienced attorneys, saw a couple of administrative judges, semi-retired, so at least 2 of them are semi-retired, so they would have availability. And the other thing that we need going forward is to get the approval from the city attorney for our desk book and for the, get them to certify that our candidates are indeed qualified. We've sent them a copy of the desk book just this week, haven't heard anything back. And we will be pulling together a portfolio of the qualifications of our candidates and submitting that as well. And I'm hoping that they can respond in a timely manner, although given the fact that the new city attorney is just getting his feet on the ground, that might take some more time. A medium-term goal, I think, for us would be to have a training session sometime either in late September or early October. So if we're optimistic in terms of getting everything approved the way we need to get it approved. What I'm envisioning is another training session like we had in April, a half-day session perhaps on a Saturday, in which we could invite the hearing examiners in, and invite the board members in, and have a session for the hearing examiners, and then perhaps a mock hearing. And that would teach us all how to behave. It would teach the hearing examiners what they were expected to do. But that's fairly far down the road, and I'll have to coordinate with you as developments continue. So any questions?
I
Yes.
have a question, and it really came out of the contact I had with an attorney I know in town who I thought would be an excellent hearing examiner. What would be involved with seeking to modify the clause in the ordinance so that associate attorneys and not just active attorneys can serve on this? Because my guess is that a majority of the people who are gonna want to serve in this role are gonna be retired attorneys. When the attorneys retire, many of them go on associate status. I'm on associate status because I don't have to take CLE, all of
Your
the CLE
continuing
credits, which get
education, yes.
really expensive. Their knowledge is there, they should still be a member of the bar, you don't want someone who's left the bar. But
What's their license status as an associate, Susan?
you're still an attorney in the state of Virginia, you're just
Okay.
not actively practicing law.
Yeah,
So my
and-
question is, I don't know whether they can serve as a hearing examiner as an associate attorney or not. We'd have to do some research in that, but
yeah,
it certainly would open, I'm gonna make a guess that when we send out something to CABA and say, hey, we're looking for attorneys who can do this, many of them may see, oh, I have to be active, and they're not even gonna apply.
Okay.
Yeah, no, okay, well, I think that is a relatively simple, in theory, relatively simple amendment to our operating procedures.
We just have to see whether, as an associate attorney, you would be allowed to serve as a hearing examiner. That's the question.
Well, yeah, but the only requirement that they be active is in our operating procedures. That's the only place it is.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be any, yeah, and so we're the ones that are preventing them from
Okay.
serving. So we can very quickly raise this with the city
Well,
city
the Bar
council.
Association is gonna have certain rules about what an associate attorney can do too, because they want the fees. So you don't pay as much when you're an associate attorney as you pay when you're an active attorney in bar fees and CLE credit fees and all of that. So they might have some restrictions as to what you
Yeah.
can and cannot do, and I just don't know the answer.
Well, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. This is something that I can take up with the mayor and see if we can do a simple amendment. We can explain the situation to him and to the council. We are going, very probably within the next month or two, going to go to the council, however, with a bunch of
Tweaks.
technical tweaks to the operating procedures, and maybe we can just incorporate it as one of those technical tweaks as well, but that is a good point. For the time being, the fact that we have 4 good candidates, that's enough for now. The next
Sure,
class,
absolutely.
we may need many more people. So, but thank you for raising that issue. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I wanted to talk about public outreach, and before we talk about a strategy for the soul of Seaville, I want to call the board's attention to the superb performance of our executive director in attendance of these, setting up and doing the logistics for these 3 events that we have gone to, the Chihamba Festival, the National Night Out, the West Haven Community Days. She has sort of taken the whole load in terms of logistics kind of on her back, and organization. And above and beyond the call of duty, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Absolutely.
I do apologize, I was supposed to help for Charlottesville Night Out, and I had 102-degree fever, so
No,
it
we
didn't
didn't want-
happen, but I apologize for not being there, I had wanted to be there.
We didn't want you there with a fever, Susan.
No.
No,
But we did pretty
absolutely.
well on National Night Out, they cleaned us up.
Oh, man, it was amazing.
Yeah, one of
I
those.
wasn't there.
Yeah, one of the things I want to point out, and irrespective of whether we manage to make a big showing at Soul of Seaville, is first off, the incredible effectiveness of the structure that we used in terms of having all that swag there. People would just flock over to our exhibits, and we'd give them a bag, and we'd throw in the refrigerator magnet and the literature, and then, oh yeah, your kid wants a stuffy and a beach ball, and it was a very friendly, very rewarding thing to do. So if you're, if you're shy or you're afraid of getting a negative response, I'm sort of introverted, maybe I thought that way, but no, it has all been very, very positive. And now there are at least, 250 people who have the refrigerator magnet for the PCOB on their refrigerators. So that's,
Mr. Chair, if I could add, what was interesting to me, National Night Out, was the number of people that thought we were part of the police department. And then we had an opportunity to explain to them, no, we're not, and this is our role, and this is what we do. So the amount of information that got disseminated about who we are and what we do, and people had no idea, they'd never heard of us, they didn't know such a thing existed. It was amazing. And I was just absolutely gobsmacked at how effective that was and the messaging was. And that's the beauty of these events. It just really gets us in the public eye. So thank you, Madam Director.
yep. Yeah. Now, it sounds, I know that it sounds like we're going to have a lot of trouble covering Soul of Siva. I believe that it's not practical for us to set up as early as they want us to set up and take down as late as they want us to take down. That's kind of an unjust burden to place on the executive director. And so perhaps for this particular event, this is something where each individual of us could pick a couple of hours to walk around with a little swag. Or do you have another suggestion?
Well, I have a suggestion, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have to clear it with my staff, with the staff at Ixart Park, but we have a bunch of tents down here. It may not have your logo on it. But, we might just be able to borrow a tent from Ix. I'll see if they have an extra one, where we can borrow a tent from Ix and a table and just set up from what is there, because I think it would be a shame for us to miss it. I understand that they're being inflexible, but please understand that there's a difference when Charlottesville Night Out has 300 attendees and they're gonna have 10,000 attendees. Wow. So you don't have flexibility when you're setting up an event of that magnitude. It is just so labor intensive and needs to be on a boom, 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 or the whole thing just falls apart. So
if we do that and we stay there for that length of time, you're going to clean us out completely of all of our swag, which will not allow us to participate in the other three events.
what are the other three events?
Pride is one.
Southwood,
Southwood. And,
Sub Rosa.
Sub Rosa.
Yeah.
Sivo Sabroso is also 4,000 people, 3,500, 4,000.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was.
At least it used to be when it was
It's-
Ix. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, last year it was not
We've been
terribly
separating, so that,
overwhelming.
we have in fact been separating like swag depending upon, because we try to gear the swag that we're distributing to usually the individuals that are present, right? So, like for example, for West Haven Day, we got a lot more stuff for children.
The swag is really nice, but I don't think that's the real goal of what we're trying to do, is to hand out swag. Our goal is to make people aware of who we are and what we do.
The goal is to get people to come to
Yes.
it gets people to the table.
it gets people into the tent.
I mean, they were lined up for
And
nothing.
when we did it last year with Hansel, we had just these little pieces of paper telling people their rights, English and Spanish. And nobody
Well,
came to
look,
see us,
If we
Who
can't do
cares?
it this year, maybe we prepare better for next year. And
How about, I think we maybe should prepare better for next year.
I mean, I like her idea though, if you're willing to use their tent, use their table, and just be present there, why not do that?
I can be there late afternoon through the evening, like
And I
starting
can
at
be there
5.
early afternoon into the mid-evening.
And I can be at a table, or I can just mingle. But I don't think that's gonna be as effective. I mean, who am I, another person walking around with a
I can.
Shirt
I can
like Mr.
come
Dillard has.
later. I have a noontime, meeting that usually lasts until probably 1:30.
It's 3 to, no, it starts at 2 or 3?
It's 3 to 9.
3 to 9,
3 to
yeah, that's
9.
what I thought, 3 to
So
9.
probably I can maybe do late evening. I can get that late evening, this Saturday, but,
Likewise, I have something till 4, and then I can just walk over.
I mean, I could probably help to set up. I could probably get it set up.
And we're not gonna worry about Friday and Sunday, Susan? Friday or Sunday, doesn't it,
Friday, Sunday, I'm not available, but
I mean, but we're not gonna worry about it,
no, I would, Saturday's gonna be.
is the
big day
day,
anyway.
okay.
That's the one that I think
I'll
matters.
try
the
to,
most.
I'll try to work that in later that afternoon with,
So, what time would you,
So I could probably be there, well, if we set up a tent from us, we probably don't need to be there till 2 because it doesn't start till 3. She's trying to get cars in and out and, you know, do all of this maneuvering, but if we don't have to go through that effort,
so it's.
I could be there
your-
at 2, set up the tent,
So
set up
your
the
tent,
table.
your staff can do the setup at 2. And.
I need to
So
talk to
there,
them
you
first,
volun-
I'm
you
committing to
volunteered.
something I haven't talked about.
Susan's gonna be in the doghouse.
I might be in the doghouse, fortunately, I'm leaving the country right after that, so.
You know, but at National Night Out, we had people there an hour and a half, 2 hours before the official opening.
Yeah, we were there 2 hours before.
And they were already availing themselves of our tables, so FYI.
so this thing don't start until like 2 o'clock, right?
3.
Starts at 3.
Starts at 3, but
Goes to
setup, we
9.
probably need to start about 2.
I can come to set up
But
at
I
2.
can come, you know, you and I can set it up together if you're there.
Okay, yeah, I actually set up one of those tents last year, so.
I just need to make sure that she hasn't already promised all of our tents. We have quite a few, but
Yeah,
make sure she's.
okay.
Well, then you say we're gonna lose all that swag.
Well, you're not getting any of my swag.
We are gonna come over to your office and steal it, man.
So, I mean, if you ain't gonna have no swag, there ain't no need to set no tent up there.
Well, I tell you, there's, we have about a half a box of our literature left. We have to order more literature. I know that Sherry's been super busy, but I have asked them to look at the pamphlets to see if you guys want to upgrade any information on pamphlets before I have them printed out
I
again.
haven't even seen a pamphlet, so,
Oh, this, we've been giving them out.
yeah.
Yeah, they're okay.
That was part of, that's the package deal, like, Vice Chair said, is that we've been getting a bag, filling it with all of our literature, and then filling it with all the goodies. So
And
that
but we're just
you
about,
can't get one without the other, you have to take the literature if you want.
we're out of bags though.
We still
So,
have bags,
We still have bags.
not enough for, 6 hours.
10,000 people.
Yeah, exactly.
so, I mean, is it worth us to keep doing this?
Well, you're gonna make a lot of people unhappy if you start it and then you run out of everything and then everybody comes to you and you're like, oh, well, sorry.
And so, and I'm glad you said that, because that was what I brought to the chair's attention was the length of time that they're asking us to commit to. One, I don't have that kind of vehicle storage, all right? I've been given a minivan, and again, I have to wait till the day of the event to pick it up. So this is not something that, I don't have a take-home car. So I actually have to do a switcheroo, drop my car, pick that van up, and then fill it up with whatever I need to fill it up with. There's not a lot of space though. So there's not 6 hours worth of space.
No.
Well,
And like you said, if we're sitting there for that length of time, it's just kind of like, so what do you do during the time frame when you run out of swag? Now what do you do?
Yeah.
so that's again, I'd say, is it even worth us even doing it? If we gonna-
Maybe this one, we give a miss as an institution and show up as individuals.
And it is unfortunate, again, because like I said, I would probably attend just to be there.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
But all of the other events have been
Well,
2.5
maybe
to
we could
3 hour
pass out
events.
literature, how about that?
Yeah.
Let's walk around, pass out literature, talk to people.
Maybe just a few teddy bears on my shoulder. Teddy bears were big.
I'll try to, late afternoon, try to make it,
But just FYI, it's quality swag. And it has, the thing, again, that I made sure we did is that everything that we're distributing has all of our contact information.
Yeah, the refrigerator magnets, were just,
So for the other event, will we have something?
Yeah, oh yeah, we're,
Oh, just this one?
Because what it is again, we've been accustomed to doing the 2.5 to 3 hour events, so, and remember, we spent
200-300
close to
people.
$40,000 just in swag.
which I think is a great investment.
It's a
Quite
phenomenal
frankly.
investment.
I think
It's
it's
paid
wonderful.
off for us. Again, people have come to speak to us that otherwise had no idea who we were. But again, I don't want to blow all of it in just one location.
and where is this gonna be at?
2.5 to
X
3
Park?
hours.
X Park.
The XR Park, yeah.
Okay,
good.
all right.
So what's the end, what's our end?
Our end is we're going to not set up.
Mingle. We're gonna mingle.
We're gonna mingle and bring
Mingle.
our T-shirts and
I don't have a t-shirt.
show up.
Inez can get you one.
And the next event after that, there's something on Tuesday evening?
Yeah, at Southwood, and Inez and I are gonna be there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet her there
So we have 3 additional events.
at
coming.
5.
So let me ask you something, hold on. So you got another one on Tuesday?
It's
Well, right,
short.
Much smaller, much
It's the
smaller.
Boys and Girls Club at
I
Southwood Trailer
definitely
Park.
won't be able to attend that, and I'll be out of town.
Okay.
And that's not really big, so.
Inez and I can handle that.
Yeah,
So
you know,
then the
and
next
that.
one is when?
So the 15th is the Southwood Back to School Bash, and then on August 16th, the very next day, we have Sabroso.
Is that August or September?
August, September.
August.
Are you sure?
Is that
According to
August?
my
They've always had it in September.
I thought this was
It's September, Inez. It's September 16th.
So what I'll do is I'll get with HRC to see if maybe the information that I got was wrong.
I think it is, because
And
they've
then the
always
Pride
had it in September.
Festival
It's
is
the day after the
17th.
other.
Is 17th of
Yeah.
September.
So maybe Sabroso is gonna be Saturday, and then.
And Pride
is gonna
Festival's
be
also
Sunday.
in
That's
Okay.
right.
Probably
I'm
back to
hoping
back.
this stuff is gonna be in September, because, that's
Oh, yeah.
my whole week, of next week, I'm out of here. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's in September. I mean, I'd like to anticipate, but
It is.
It
Pride is
says
also at
September
Exarch Park, right?
16th, yes.
Yes, correct.
And then Seville Sabroso is in the
Washington Park over by Shenandoah Joe's.
And then the back to school bash is gonna be at the Southwood Boys and
Southwood.
Girls Club parking lot.
And it's,
And none of those exceed, like, those are all like 3 hour.
Actually, it's an hour and a half, I think,
Well, the first one is only an hour.
Tuesday night, yeah.
Well, I'm out of town in August, but I can commit to you for Pride.
yeah, September, you got me. But,
Excellent.
This month is
all right.
tight.
Well, we got
And
it
I will
covered.
mingle this weekend
I'm sorry.
on Saturday. I'll be a mingler.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. And I know James said
Said he would.
He would also be there, so.
Maybe we can put just a table somewhere where we can set some stuff down.
And we have a designated location. They gave me all the material where we're gonna be at. It's gonna be in close proximity to where we were for national. Night.
That's from that,
And
which
that's
was a
the
great
area.
location, right as you come in from the Brazos
Parking
side.
lot, yeah.
And we were the first stop coming in from that side.
Okay,
And what
so,
I'll do is I'll send you the information. It's gonna be like, I think, booth number 42.
Do you want a table? Just someplace to stop and. Or you
I think
without
we're
the
not gonna,
swag,
we're not gonna
just
swag,
crazy?
so probably,
Nah.
yeah, we don't have all of our,
Okay.
our flag and everything.
Okay, so I won't even talk to her about that then.
Yeah,
No,
don't,
let her-
don't worry about it.
Next year,
Next year.
you owe us one,
Next year we'll prepare.
okay.
You're gonna have to authorize about 20 grand for that.
It's
Yeah.
a big event, I know.
Yep. Okay, any other questions about public outreach? I'm sure we'll be communicating over the next few days. Okay, second public comment period. Anyone have any, anyone in the studio audience? Is there anyone online who would like to make a comment?
I see no raised hands.
Give them a second. Any other questions or comments from the board members? Move to adjourn, anyone?
Twist my arm. So move.
I'll second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. Unanimously adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.